All right, everyone, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Thursday, March 31st, 2022. If you've not done so already, please like, comment, subscribe. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and commentary. Anyways, spiders filling the gap today here at 456. We talked about that yesterday. And obviously, we got a little bit of a sell-off here in the last half hour to hour here. Started off as just kind of a little retrace and then just slowly dripped down to that 200 moving average. Notice how close you got to that 200 moving average prior to bouncing. That kind of made this 200 a little bit more minor as far as support. Although, the light volume tends to, give buoyancy to the markets. And we saw sort of a drift up into the last 20, 30 minutes of the last couple of days here, although the volume picked up very heavily. Take a look at this surge here. Volume today would actually have been pretty light. We're at about, 80 million or so, about average for what we were at yesterday. Within the last 10 minutes here, but you see this last 10-minute bar, over 20 million shares on the spiders, and now we're over 120 million with the after hours volume into consideration here, I believe, at 117 million. Still a good volume surge into the final 10 minutes and a little bit into the after hours here. Now, we shouldn't really be surprised here, right? So markets were overbought. We said it was possible that we could see a big down day, a 2% down day. We got 1.5 here on the spiders. And let's take a look here at the hourly support. So it does, it was a pretty dramatic looking sell-off, but you can see we got right through this hourly 50 MA. But now you're into this area here, that 451 to 453 zone. You chopped around here for quite some time here, so that will be support. Although you did come down with pretty heavy volume, and the volume was, much lighter here. So there still should be some support in this range. If we take a look at the triple Qs, same kind of deal, right into that 50 MA, and right into this, sort of where you chopped around before you broke out. So that is, generally going to be support. Maybe we get a little bit lower here into that kind of 359, 360 area on the triple Qs, but that should be good support moving forward. Although if the volume does continue to pick up, it can cut through those levels. So just be careful of that. And the one thing I will say is the triple Qs are still acting well. So down 1.24%. with the spiders down 1.5. So triple Q is still outperforming, and that is a good sign. That is, that's not a bearish sign overall, but, we have to respect the sell-off. If this continues, if we get another high volume day, this market may be, somewhat cooked here. Doesn't necessarily mean we go down to the lows straight down, but, we have to respect the selling overall. All right, so let's flip over here and look at the IWM. So Russell 2000 pulling back here, filling that gap. We'll see again, kind of into support here. You went up here, chopped sideways. So, you could make a case it's just back testing this area. We'll see a little bit more tomorrow. You have the 20 moving average up sloping below these pivots. So if it gets down there, maybe it gets a bounce here. And, it could, potentially could retrace up. The one thing that's a little suspicious to me is typically when they want the market lower, they don't wait until the last 10, 20 minutes to do it. Usually they do it within the first half hour. So it does look like there was some sort of purposeful selling here. And again, maybe just profit taking or something like that. It could be end of quarter shenanigans. That's very, very common. So we'll see what we get tomorrow. Also, first of the month, tomorrow there is typically new money flow from pension funds and stuff like that. So don't be surprised if we end up, gapping higher and kind of negating some of this. Again, we are, like I said, we are into a lot of hourly support levels. It would not surprise me to gap up tomorrow. And, maybe we could continue pulling back after a gap up. I wouldn't rule that out. Again, the market is still overbought here. Take a look at the VIX. Getting a nice bounce, closing back above 20. But, there's nothing to say this can't retrace into the low 20s here at some point. So the VIX, again, really oversold. Market's overbought. You get the idea. Flipping over to the diamond. Kind of have potentially an island reversal now in the diamond. So again, this is your support area, kind of chopped around here before you broke out. Wouldn't be surprised to see a retest maybe to 345. You got this 50 moving average right in this area, and the 20 moving average up sloping, and then this is kind of your channel here, right? So that would logically be support on the way back down if you were to go test that. But again, ultimately we're not surprised here, right? You can't just go straight up forever, and eventually you're going to have a pullback. Now, the key is, do we start taking out support? If we come down here and we take out the 440 area, that would be problematic. You'd have to hold 432 at that point, but we'll get there when we get there. Okay, so it's just one day here. Let's not make a huge scene just yet, but we got to respect the selling at least. Anyways, semiconductors here again still holding up okay. A lot of the weakness here was in AMD. So AMD has gotten hit recently, and again we talked about how it hasn't participated as much in the rally. So maybe somebody knows that they're going to have a weak quarter. It could be something as simple as that. But AMD responsible for a lot of the weakness in semis. NVIDIA is still holding up really well. In fact, looking at this chart pattern on NVIDIA, even with today's sell-off, this is holding up really well. This is flagging up nicely. And if this can consolidate a little bit further, there's nothing to say this can't move higher. But so semiconductors hanging in there, a little bit of a reversal, but overall nothing terrible. Same thing with IGV. Selling off, filling this gap here, but only down 0.75%. This is not a bad pullback pattern. So, a little bit more consolidation here on the IGV, and there's nothing to say they can't get up to that 360 handle that I've been talking about for the last week or two. Dow Transport, same thing. Again, we talked about yesterday, maybe it was just a little premature, wasn't quite ready to break out yet. So now continuing to pull back, but nothing really wrong. It's all just kind of backing and filling, just sideways consolidation. Nothing wrong when you see stocks or indexes do that, especially with volume declining after a move up. That's usually a sign of accumulation. So again, we still got that 17,000 price target there in the near term. All right, XHB here. This one did get smoked again today. So again, we've been talking about how weak this is. My guess is they probably save it tomorrow and close it back above this green bar. So we did lose that green bar, obviously, today. But if they can close it back above by tomorrow, which will be the weekly close, that would give me the thought that it's probably going to have some type of a bounce here over the next couple of weeks. But again, weak sector, weak industry group right now with high rates, obviously. VNQ also reversing, but I believe this actually held that green bar low. So again, not terribly broken. Again, could come down and fill this gap here. You got some support, 200 moving average, all these pivots there. So again, a little pullback wouldn't be out of the question, but it's holding up okay despite the little reversal today. 10-year pulling back here. Again, nothing really too new to add. It's holding trend for now. 30-year getting to that 20 moving average. So we'll see if this can get a bounce off of that and maybe get a little bit of bid and a retrace. Now, again, I've made this clear. I'm not sure that this is really the high in rates. It could be, but I still think there's a very good chance we can get up to 2.8 on the 30-year. So just be aware, nice pullback here, but it's still holding trend. It got overbought and it needed to pull back a little bit. High yield. So despite the big sell-off today, high yield is still holding this green bar from Tuesday. So we'll see what we get on Friday. The weekly close on this is going to be very important. Yeah, and if it can hold this pattern here, there's nothing to say that it can't be safe, at least for the meantime here. But overall, considering the big sell-off today, you'd think the HYG would be down a lot more, and it's holding up okay. So we'll give it the benefit of the doubt. All right, fins. So XLF taking a big hit today, but believe it or not, this is really not broken. Even look at the weakness in KBE, KRE. Believe it or not, these patterns are not broken yet. So again, we'll see what we get tomorrow with the weekly close, but I don't think that these are necessarily done just yet. Take a look at the broker dealers here pulling back. This is still in the, well in the upper range of this move up here. So there's nothing to say that fins can't have another leg higher here. This is a pretty sharp pullback, pretty steep pullback on the XLF, but I don't really see anything broken on it just yet, despite the little bit of weakness today. So overall, I'll kind of give them the upside bias for now. But again, the weekly close is going to be important, just like it is on everything moving forward tomorrow. XLE did come back in a little bit today, down 1.36%, and still not losing trend here. Just will not come down. XOP, same kind of deal, pulling back a little bit off the highs, and OIH as well, but all still holding trend. Now, it's all going to come down to crude, right? If crude loses this 50 MA and this trend line and ultimately these pivots, again, we're going down to that 85, 90 handle, and that should be enough to push XLE lower, theoretically. But right now, there's just a lot of money flowing into that sector, and sometimes that's the way things go, but a lower low here should get the job done for some type of a corrective move on the energy stocks. Nat gas continuing to power higher again, coming off the highs, but did make a higher high again today, and you got above this pivot. And I don't know, it looks like we have a chance to close above it in the next half hour. So we'll see if we can get that done. But again, ultimately, nat gas remains strong. And really, as far as the energy sector is concerned, I think this is the most undervalued and the least overbought for sure. But again, nice breakout there on nat gas, and we'll see what we get moving forward. If it wants to continue higher, it probably will run into a lot of resistance just above $6. But overall, nothing terrible there. All right, dollar index getting a bid here, as you would assume, with the market getting hit. But again, just kind of holding trend, holding this upper range, nothing too new to report there. All right, gold. So the verdict's out on gold. So we did negate the monthly inside bar. So that is now negated. But we have the quarterly inside bar is still intact. So really the scoop is we have to wait a whole nother quarter for this to play out, essentially. But you got that inside bar there. You closed below that, but you did get above the monthly inside bar. So it's, you got a positive bias on a monthly time frame, but as far as the quarterly is concerned, and the quarterly is, it's a 3-month period, so there's a lot of data inside of that, and there's a lot of data inside the monthly too. But that is a strong positive for gold for now. We'll see what we get over the next couple of months and into the summer, but I give it the upside bias for now. It held up and it got above that monthly inside bar, which is very significant. So nice move for gold. Doesn't mean it can't pull back and come down a little bit or whatever, but that is a good sign. GDX holding up as well. Again, little overbought still, but it's holding in the upper range here, so that does signal accumulation. Silver, again, just kind of chopping sideways here. Nothing really going on the daily chart, but I do like the SILJ still. So again, this does represent a little bit of accumulation. The fact that it's holding up nicely in the upper range of the of this this kind of leg up here, and you got higher lows potentially now. So nothing terrible there on the SILJ. I still like it, but it needs to do more backing and filling. Platinum, again, kind of nothing really going on there at the moment, and Palladium, same kind of deal. We had that big sell-off and now kind of getting a dead cat bounce. Copper also moving up, nice upright pattern. So again, we'll see. I didn't like the close last Friday, but now, if we can get a close, if this was the weekly close right here, I'd say this is a good pattern. So you're starting to move up, potentially going sideways. Again, if you can do a little bit more of that, then you can attack these highs again. But I don't really see any problems right now with copper, at least in the near term. All right, so flipping over to the coins here. So Bitcoin did pull back just like everything else. Let's take a look here on the intraday. I haven't really checked this all that much. Yeah, so interesting. Bitcoin started selling off this morning. And again, what do we say every day? Oh, the Bitcoin's a leading indicator. So Bitcoin was selling off pretty sharply this morning, and it wasn't until this afternoon that the equity market started to really sell off, really until about 3:30. The equity market started to sharply sell off. So Bitcoin maybe being a little bit of a leading indicator. Again, we'll continue to watch that. Let's see if it comes down and retests this trend line. If it can't hold that would be problematic to me, because that would signal a potential failed breakout. But we'll see what happens. Maybe it can come here and make a higher low. And if it holds that, then it can possibly make a higher high, come up and test this line. I don't think it gets through that line, though, to be completely honest. Let's take a look at Ether. Same thing, but Ether in a much more stronger technical position, although it is more overbought. So again, if this comes down, maybe you have to test 3,000 or so, and then you could potentially make a higher low. And then we'll see from there. But again, this is all, Bitcoin's king. Everything's going to follow Bitcoin. And, again, it's just been such a good leading indicator moving forward here. But we'll see what we get tomorrow. Again, first of the month, there's typically a lot of money flow, again, from pension funds, retirement accounts, stuff like that. And a lot of that money gets put to work. So it wouldn't surprise me if we got some sort of upside in the morning. Again, this looks like a lot of end of quarter stuff. It's very suspicious that they just pushed it. They decided to wait until about 3:15 to start pushing the market lower. And then they just started pounding it with market orders in the last 10 minutes. Very, very suspicious, to say the least. But again, market was overbought, needed to pull back. And we'll just leave it at that. We'll see what we get out here tomorrow. We'll see what the weekly close gives us. And, again, if this market makes a higher low, there's nothing to say that it can't hold up in the near term. Anyways, guys, take care. Thanks for watching. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com, and I'll talk to you all tomorrow.